temporal or not temporal? The first accusation is it is the adjuvant. And yet, without adjuvants, we are not going to have the next generation of vaccines. And many of the vaccines that we do have, ranging from tetanus through to HPV, require adjuvants in order for them to work. So the challenge that we have in front of us is, how do we build confidence in this? And the confidence, first of all, comes from the regulatory agencies. To Marianne. When we add an adjuvant, it's because it is essential. We do not add adjuvants to vaccines because we want to do so. But when we add them, it adds to the complexity. And I give courses every year on how do you develop vaccines, how do you make vaccines. And the first lesson is, while you're making your vaccine, if you can avoid using an adjuvant, please do so. Lesson 2 is, if you're going to use an adjuvant, use one that has a history of safety. And lesson 3 is, if you're not going to do that, think very carefully.
It almost seems like he was insinuating that adjuvants were increasing the frequency of adverse reactions from vaccines.
It seems to me that adjuvants multiply the immunogenicity of the antigens that they are added to, and that is their intention. It seems to me they multiply the reactogenicity in many instances. And therefore it seems to me that it is not unexpected if they multiply the incidence of adverse reactions that are associated with the antigen, but may not have been detected through lack of statistical power in the original study.
Did he just say that adjuvants multiply the incidence of adverse reactions? Let's see how Dr. Martin Howell-Frieda responds.
You are correct. As we add adjuvants, especially some of the more recent adjuvants, such as the AS01 sapellin-derived adjuvants, we do see increased local reactogenicity. The primary concern, though, usually is systemic adverse events rather than local adverse events. And we tend to get in the phase 2 and the phase 3 studies quite good data on the local reactogenicity. Those of us in this room that are beyond the age of 50 who've had the pleasure of having the recent shingles vaccine will know that this does have quite significant local reactogenicity. If you got the vaccine, you know that you got the vaccine. But this is not the major health concern. The major health concern which we are seeing are accusations of long-term effects. So to come back to this, I'm going to once again point to the regulators. It comes down to ensuring that we conduct the phase 2 and the phase 3 studies with adequate size and with appropriate measurement.
Let me translate what he just said. When it comes to adjuvants and vaccines, we know when there are local reactions, like when you get a shot like in the shoulder and you get swelling at the point where you got the injection. But we have no freaking clue about systemic adverse events. And we really do need to design some phase 2 and phase 3 studies with adequate size and appropriate measurement to help us figure out if vaccines cause long-term adverse events.
Wait. Is this the same organization that 1 week before this summit had released a commercial stating vaccines are safe and they prevent disease without risk? Wow.
Yeah. So here's a response from Dr. David Kaslow about this small, in other words, inadequate sample sizes and the, quote, tyranny of small numbers. Listen to this.
So in our clinical trials, we are actually using relatively small sample sizes. And when we do that, we're at risk of tyranny of small numbers, which is you just need a single case of Wegener's granulomatosis, and your vaccine has to solve Waltz. How do you prove a null hypothesis? And it takes years and years to try to figure that out. So it's a real conundrum, right? Getting the right size, dealing with the tyranny of small numbers, making sure that you can really do it. And so I think one of the things that we really need to invest in are kind of better biomarkers, better mechanistic understanding of how these things work so we can better understand adverse events as they come up.
Did you get that? Dr. Kaslow mentioned that since their sample size is so small when monitoring adverse events, that if one person is seriously injured, it takes a while to massage the numbers to make it appear that the vaccine is safe, and that's a real conundrum. And one of the needed investments is better biomarkers and a better understanding of adverse events.
I thought they had already invested in the safety monitoring system, but here we have the third or fourth person at this summit admitting they actually do not have safety systems in place.
And those are the people, they're not just people, these are the doctors and scientists who create vaccine policy for the world at the World Health Organization. Some of the doctors in attendance appeared truly concerned about these admissions. Here's a very good question from Dr. Basi Akposon from Nigeria.
I cast back my mind to our situation in Nigeria, where at 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 14 weeks, a child is being given different antigens from different companies. And these vaccines have different adjuvants, different preservatives, and so on. Something crosses my mind. Is there a possibility of these adjuvants, preservatives, cross-reacting amongst themselves? Have there ever been a study on the possibility of cross-reactions from the panel members that you can share the experience with us?
Wow, great question. Dr. Akposon is truly concerned about his people in Nigeria and the adverse cross-reactions that can occur from injecting them with multiple vaccines with multiple adjuvants and multiple antigens.
Have studies ever been done on using multiple vaccines in combination? One of the doctors had that exact same question at the ACIP meeting in February of 2018. FYI, ACIP is the acronym for Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, which is an arm of the CDC.